Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. It's Michelle Reinhardt here with some pretty special guests waiting in the wings. I am an online home business specialist and an intuitive mindset and energy coach, and the host for you today, and the founder of a community group called Entrepreneurs Globally Unite. Today we're here with a very special guest, Liesel Albrecht. Hi, Liesel.
Hi.
Hi, it's nice to have you with us. I'm excited to hear what you've got to say. You piqued my interest enormously when we spoke the other day, so I can't wait. I'd like to invite also my co-host today, Andie Noon, to say hello and tell us a little bit about yourself, Andie.
Hi, Michelle. I'm Andie Noon, your co-host, and I am the founder and creative director of Scruffy Dog Studio. It's a digital media and design agency, studio, little place. I run with my husband, and we generally design intuitively, so it's a bit different from most design studios and web studios. But enough about me. We're going to get into this whole thing and let Liesel shine today.
Yes, we certainly are. So again, welcome everyone to our weekly Work Together Wednesday Community Blab number 10. The title of our day is Retreats Change Lives, They Just Do. And today our spotlight is shining for the next 30 minutes on one of our extraordinary entrepreneurs in our community. A big welcome to Liesel Albrecht. Liesel, I'm just going to share your incredible mission and journey. So Liesel loves to travel and take women on extraordinary adventures. She's a mother, a stepmother, partner, daughter, sister, friend, and mentor. Her life's purpose and vision is to take women on a life-changing journey, one that will open their eyes, reconnect them with their souls, and come home a little bit different. These adventures focus on changing women's lives through retreats and journeys, both in Australia and magical locations around the world. Liesel also mentors and trains entrepreneurs to plan and facilitate their own transformational retreats that add value to their business and their clients. So I invited Liesel along today to join us because she's said some pretty interesting things, one of which was how we can earn 20K pretty fast. But I'm going to leave that question till later, so you'll have to hang with us. Liesel, is there anything you'd like to add or elaborate on before we ask you some questions, Retreat Queen? It's over to you.
That covers it, and I love being called the Retreat Queen.
You suit that name.
The name of your adventure company, how do you pronounce it, and how did you come up with it?
So it's Sour Luas Adventures. And about 5 years ago, I bought a little house in Bali, and I thought it needed a name. So I wanted it to fit where we were, and we were surrounded by rice fields, but calling it like the Rice Field Villa or something like that didn't really feel that good to me. So I thought, wild rice. And I asked my friend over there, like, what's the translation for that? And he said Sour Luas. And it's just kind of flowed on. So when I started my business, that seemed an obvious name to me to keep and to flow through. I keep, though, worrying that somebody's going to say, no, that's not what wild rice is. But so far, it's been 5 years and nobody has. So I'm feeling a bit more secure in it now.
Kind of it, I really do. It's just like it's got a flowy sort of feel to it. So, and it's not one of those tongue twisty names either.
No,
so, no, it's like Sour Luas.
Yeah,
that's a great name. Great name.
Yeah, it does, and it really fits for what my feelings of Bali are, with the rice fields and linking into the culture and the connection and the community as well.
Before, I've got one question for you, and I know I've got another question, but before we go to the main question, the one thing you just mentioned that, 5 years ago you wanted to, you bought a place. How easy, or hard was it for you to, obviously not being a resident of Bali, how hard was it for I don't know. I made that assumption. Naughty of me. So for you to, buy a place there, because if there's someone, obviously, because it is retreat orientated. So if somebody else wanted to do something that you're doing, obviously with your help, what would you say to them about this process?
I found it all rather easy. The way I came about buying my place was my friend over there, his brother's in real estate, and they had it for sale, and it all just happened really easily. The advice I would give others would be, because you need like an Indonesian person to be the title holder on your property, really know the person that you're putting on the title papers. And the best advice I got off someone was, you need to be able to afford to lose that money.
Okay.
Something goes wrong and it all falls apart, then as long as you won't lose your house and everything over here, then go for it. And I really had no doubt from the beginning that I would be okay, but I have seen others that have got into trouble because they haven't got the right contracts. They've just gone through an agent, or they've gone through somebody that they've met like twice on holidays.
Okay, that's like a no-no in anyone's book.
I know. So really know the person that you're having on your title. Have a very secure contract with them. And really think about it very carefully. But it's so worth it.
Yeah, I mean, you're enjoying this, like 5 years later, and you're totally loving it still. So for you, it's really good. And that's why I asked that question. So if somebody else wanted to, also fulfill their dream of something similar to what you're doing, then things they may want to look at, because often those are the areas most of us don't like to talk about, but they are equally important to make the bigger picture big and nice. Can you please give us a rundown on your journey and what has led you being the retreat queen?
Yeah.
We need a crown for you.
So I was, I'm really lucky. Like, I've always known there was a bigger world out there. My dad's Austrian, so I had grandparents and cousins and aunts and uncles that lived in Austria. So I went overseas when I was 10 for the very first time, and that was like, I think I walked around the whole time going, oh my gosh, we're like an hour away from Italy, or, we're just gone to Germany, like, it just amazed me growing up in Melbourne. And I hadn't even been to Queensland. I think the furthest I'd been was Canberra. So to be in another country where there was different languages and food and everything was so old, it really blew me away. So I, travelled when I could, backpacked after uni, all that sort of thing, and then got married, had kids. I was a social worker for 26 years.
Wow.
And working with those really high-end families that were involved in child protection, ones with huge traumas. And I just was so emotionally drained. And, I was turning 40, my marriage had broken up, and I went and saw Eat, Pray, Love. So decided I needed a pilgrimage of my own. But I had 2 boys, so I couldn't just take off. And so the boys and I, on my 40th birthday, flew to Ho Chi Minh City, and we spent 3 months traveling down through Asia, which was just amazing. And I came back knowing that I needed to do something different, that I'd healed myself through that journey. And I knew that I needed to do a different job. So I did a travel agent's course, and that didn't really fit very well because it was all about formulas and stock standard travel, and I knew that's not what I wanted to offer. I bought the house in Bali, and I designed like a package. So people went there through like Airbnb, and they had a driver and massages and sightseeing and all those things. And I'd been running retreats here in Australia for about 20 years, leadership retreats. And it really fascinated me how when people came together, they just started talking about things from their past, things that made them happy, things that made them sad, what their dreams were. And it really, I was quite in awe of this process, and that people would come and they'd pay me money to come and just we'd just talk like for 7 days. We'd learn and talk and share, and lots of laughter, lots of tears, all those sorts of things. And I knew I wanted to take that to the next step. I'd been organising holidays overseas for friends. I'd taken groups away on tours to Europe and to Bali and Vietnam and stuff. And I knew I wanted to take it to the next step, but I didn't really know how. And it wasn't until 2 years ago that I had long service leave, and I was running a retreat in Bali, and then I had long service leave, and I really just couldn't go back to work. Like, I just wanted to curl up in a ball and just stay there. The thought of going back to work, and I couldn't get a job paying coffee or, you know, waitressing. I was 40-something and it just wasn't happening. And my partner said, you know, well, you need to follow your dreams. And, you know, and for me, that was doing the retreats full time. And I then could go back to work because I had a goal of 12 months' time, and just jumped, set the date.
Partnership, take your to the next level.
Yeah. So it's been a lot of people coming to me. I have built up a lot of relationships through Facebook. And that's my main social media platform, being very consistent, being on a lot of pages, posting every day, that sort of stuff. And it's been mainly people coming to me and saying, we want to run a retreat, can you work with us? Which is quite humbling that, you know, people can see that the value that I have. And so I then talk with them, see if we're a right fit, and just go from there, draw up like a partnership contract.
Yeah.
Because I feel that's very important. Otherwise, people just assume that like we're going to organise a retreat and people will just magically appear.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But of course.
Where's the genie, Liesel? Stop hiding the genie. You just got to take it out.
I know. So working on those partnerships through both informal and formal channels. So drawing up a contract, looking at who's going to do what. But, yeah, like I said, most people have approached me.
Well, that is the way our world works at its best. You're coming from your heart centre. You're doing what you're passionate about. So you're going to be a magnet for people that want what you have. Your authenticity shines so bright. It's just a matter of time, you know, and I love that you gave yourself that 12 months because you took care of that fight or flight factor, that survival basic instinct that we have, but you allowed yourself that time for the universe, the energies to conspire to deliver your ultimate dream. That's outstanding. Congratulations.
Yes. It's pretty exciting. And, you know, I now couldn't imagine being back in an office and, you know, and like any new business, it takes time to build up the financial side of it and to get that constant flow of money. And that's still, you know, it's happening. And like everybody, some weeks it's really good, some weeks it's not, that sort of thing. But the thought of going back to an office and having to see clients and write case notes and all that sort of thing, no, I couldn't do it.
Hypothetically, if Andie were to come to you and say, Liesel, I want to set up a retreat, could you talk her through how you would go about that as a partnership agreement with Andie?
Yep, for sure.
Let's not do, because hypothetically we were going to talk about it.
I've been floating that idea. So when someone comes to me, the first thing I look at is their why they want to run a retreat. What's the motivation behind it? Is it just that they might earn 20K for a week's holiday? Or is it deeper than that? Is it that they want to share their talents and their gifts and their offerings to their people? Because that's really important. People that have come to me that their top line is making that money, I found their retreats aren't all that successful.
Wow.
if they do happen, people walk away not really satisfied. They feel like they haven't got what they paid for.
Mm.
Whereas when you're coming from that heart center and that really genuine why you want to do it, it just flows so much easier. And then we start looking at the logistical things like where you want to go, what you want to do, the itinerary, working out a budget. Budgeting is a really big thing that people fall down on. So not including everything, you know, not including things like a single room for yourself, because if you're working for, say, 10 days straight, you need a single room for yourself.
Yeah.
I've seen people budget a whole retreat that was one in Fiji, actually, and she didn't include her airfares or her food.
Oh.
So, but once she'd put the price out, like, it's really hard to then alter the price of, you know, oh, I need to add an extra, you know, $500 onto everybody's cost. So, yeah, so she didn't make much profit that retreat. Looking at things like who your ideal client is, sales funnels, that's a really important thing, because putting out an ad for a retreat and people don't know you, then they're not very likely to sign up unless you're some guru on a computer. There we go.
Mention your course, Liesel.
Yes. Yeah, so I run quite a few online courses and live workshops. So one that I've got that's been really popular is a 28-day program. So over 28 days, you get 10 modules, which is everything from starting to organise your retreat and those first thoughts of what am I going to do, what am I going to teach, who am I going to invite to come, who my ideal clients are, those sorts of things, right through all the logistics, so budgeting. So you do make a profit. You do learn how to add on, you know, $1,000 or $2,000 a person. So you do make 20K from a retreat, or 10K. Things like itineraries and getting really balanced in itineraries. All the legalities. People often don't think of things like making sure that their business insurance covers them to take people on retreats.
I'll ask you that question. I'm so glad you mentioned it, because that's a big one. So you cover that in your course, business insurance.
Yes.
So let's say you took a bunch of people to some, you know, great location, and yes, they're staying in a hotel, so the hotel would have insurance and all, and you know, the flights will have insurance. But what happens if someone gets seriously injured while you're running the retreat?
Yeah. So I don't let anybody come on a retreat without travel insurance. In Australia, you're okay because you're covered under Medicare, but when you go overseas, you're not, obviously. So I always have a copy of people's travel insurance.
Fantastic.
And I also have public liability forms.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that really spell out things like injuries, you know, if people during free times, and in Bali this is really common, you know, a group of women are suddenly without their partners and husbands and children, that they want to go out drinking in a bar.
Yes.
And, you know, it says in that, you know, if you go out drinking, then that's your own responsibility. During free time, you got on a scooter.
Yeah.
And you know, had an accident, then that's all, by signing that form, that waives all that responsibility from me, but you cannot come without travel insurance.
Yep.
We also talk about having systems in place, what to do when you get to the retreat, like how to manage things like the budgets and the meals and the activities and workshops and all those sorts of things as well.
Yeah.
Because people don't think of, and I just had one of my graduates do a retreat in Bali, and she was doing some live Facebook streaming onto our mastermind page, and she said, I just didn't get that you needed downtime for yourself. And by, you know, day 3, she was, you know, just exhausted. Because you're on the job 24/7. And, you know, people come knocking at your door at 3 a.m. to find out where the bug spray is or that they can't connect to the internet. Like, so then when they're planning their own and when they get there, they've got all those boxes ticked, and they know, like, you can't you know, predict for everything on a retreat, but at least if you've got, you know, we even go through basic counselling skills.
Awesome.
What to do,
Okay.
you know, of how to conflict resolution, all that sort of thing.
It sounds like you've done enough, Liesel, to know. I mean, you, as you say, you can't predict the unpredictable. Things are going to happen. That's life. It's wonderful to have someone that has walked the journey, and I love that you actually teach people so that they can then in turn run their own. You're teaching independence, which is outstanding.
Thanks. I'm just reading the questions on the side as you're talking.
Yeah, sure.
And Dee asked, how many per day would you be teaching the group? And look, I think that varies. It varies on what you want to put across. There's retreats that are planned where there's workshops all day and in the evening with very little free time, which is fine if that's what you want to put across. My itineraries I plan are usually 3 to 4 hours of workshops a day. So that could be, you know, in the morning, and then you go out and do stuff or have free time or downtime, because I think it's really important for people to absorb what they're learning. Or, you know, you're going overseas possibly on a retreat. You want to go out and explore.
Yes.
You know, you want to go in for the day into Florence, or you want to go into Ubud or Bangkok or wherever and see where you are. You've paid all this money. So part of that cultural exploring and connecting with local community is so much part of it as, alongside the workshops.
Sure. Liesel, I'd love to know if you have a favourite destination. Bali's going to be up there with the best. You own a property there, but is there an experience that you have had that has just totally blown your mind? That
Mexico and LA come to mind very quickly. I took a group we had 5 days sightseeing in LA, which I just loved. I had no expectations of LA, and I loved the vibe. I loved the atmosphere. But then we got to Mexico, and that was just out of the ballpark for me. And I was the retreat leader, so I just found it amazing that I was having this, you know, life-changing experience along with the other girls that were there. So we had some Australian women and some women from New York, and I planned it alongside a retreat facilitator from New York. We'd never met. We'd connected on Facebook and by telephone. We hadn't even Skyped because she lives in the Catskills and her internet isn't good enough. So our first even seeing each other was at the hotel in Playa del Carmen. It was just the whole thing. We all arrived late at night. The next morning we had our first group discussion. There was people crying at breakfast because just the energy from the earth there is quite phenomenal. But they were women that were all on their spiritual journey. And we went to Chichen Itza, and that's ancient Mayan temples. And the energy, and I'd heard people talk about this, but I'd never experienced it myself. But the energy from the earth and the temples, it was like an electrical current running through my body. It was it's like there are no words. And I made a couple of videos that night, and I couldn't upload them because of the internet. And I came across them about 6 weeks after my trip. And I watched them, and I was just like, I was floating off the bed. Like, I look at them now and I go, I was just in another planet. If you want to organise a retreat and you haven't been on one, you need to go on one first.
Yes.
So you understand what it feels like, you know, what it feels like to be having those aha light bulb moments, to, you know, sit in awe of their magic, because, you know, retreats set up right with, you know, the right atmosphere, the right people, the right facilitators, they are life-changing.
Mm.
And I've seen it lots. Like, I'd felt it before this Mexico trip, but that really reinforced that people need to go and do their own retreat before they take others, because otherwise they don't know. They don't get what that magic is.
So, Liesel, I want to jump in here. Are there any upcoming retreats you're organizing? So if somebody was really keen on, you know, I suppose running their own retreats, and like you just mentioned, that it would be a great idea to, you know, go experience one. Do you know of any cool ones that are coming up that
It's like throwing out a fishing line.
I know.
Well, I mean, queen, who better to ask, right?
Exactly.
Look, there are, before I tell you, there are hundreds of retreats out there now, and you've really got to find the one that you feel fits you.
Yeah.
I've got 3 that I can think of. Depends where people want to go, and they're all on that really having an experience and doing different things. So, like, there's one to Vietnam, which is a 12-day retreat. We're traveling to different locations, and that's really on for people who are maybe at those crossroads in life that are really making the decision about, should they change their career, should they leave a relationship, should they buy a house, those sorts of things, to support people to get clarity on those. The next one that I've got, so that one's in November. The next one I've got, which is February, which is Mexico again.
Oh, yeah.
So that real spiritual awakening stuff, and nurturing your body. So really healthy food, healthy living, planning for your future, those sorts of things, but really that soul connection. And then another one that I've got is in Japan. And that's a real connection to culture one.
Awesome.
So a lot more sightseeing, a lot more learning about the culture and connecting with yourself through the culture.
And when is Japan, Liesel?
Japan is in March. So we're going for chasing the cherry blossoms.
Oh, beautiful.
So we're going so we can go over and see the cherry blossoms.
Beautiful. They are just exquisite.
I can't wait. I've wanted to see them for so long.
Yeah. Liesel, I do have one question, which I love to ask of all entrepreneurs, and that is, what habits help make you successful?
I actually always struggle with this, because I think, well, what do I do that's a habit? What have I got in place? For me, it's because of it. Like, I've got a house full here. I've got kids, stepkids, partner, animals. My mum lives with us. So for me, it's routine.
Yeah.
Having, you know, my day set out basically the same every day. And that morning, probably the first half an hour of my morning when I wake up, it's just about me.
Yep.
About, you know, really connecting with myself, with what's going on for me. You know, what are my challenges at the moment? What am I grateful for? And really, with the challenges, then going, okay, how can I solve this? How can I not make this a challenge anymore?
Beautiful.
And so doing that, and usually that's in bed when I'm waking up, and trying not to reach for my phone to check messages on Facebook. And then launching into the routine of the day. And yeah, for me, that's been really valuable. When I'm away on a retreat, I get up, you know, half an hour before everybody else, and I meditate for half an hour.
Yeah.
So that I am really grounded in the day, and really grounded in what we're doing and what the intentions are. And so then I can be there 100% for the people that are there.
It's no coincidence that it's a similar answer that I receive from most all successful entrepreneurs. That beautiful, that connection with self, with soul, with our Creator is mandatory. You know, that is what we're here for. That's all there is.
Yeah.
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 Thank you for that, very much so. Liesel, how can people find you?
So my website's www.lieselalbrecht.com, and there are two parts to my website. There's my part for retreat facilitators, which is a tab at the top, and you just click on that, then it's got everything listed. And there's a tab for my signature retreats, which is the same. You click on it and you can find out what's coming up. And, you know, it's fairly simple. I built it, so it's very easy.
And your courses, are they available on the same site?
Yep. They're under the retreat facilitators tabs. So it's got all about live workshops and the online courses. And also I'm also doing, which I'll just quickly tell you, is retreat bundles. So you might be going, oh, I'm organising a retreat and I just need to know about budgeting. So you can just go on and budget and purchase little bits too. So it makes it...
Choose, in other words, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. And also, Liesel, like the courses that you run, are they self-paced?
There's one that's self-paced, but even if you purchase a like a program or a course that I'm doing, you've got access to that for 12 months. So you can go back to when you need it.
Fantastic.
It's got all the PDFs and videos and all that sort of thing.
All right, thank you, Liesel. Thank you so much for everything.
It's been a pleasure.
I am in awe as to how you fit everything in. So yeah, they say if you want anything done, give it to a busy person, don't they?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And Andie, how can we find you, and why would we? Why would we not?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I don't know. Because I'm Andie. No. It's just you can find me at my website, which is scruffydogstudio.com.au. You can also find me at the wonderful ETU, where we often catch up and talk and share stuff. You can find me on my other little group, which you both are members of.
Yes.
And I'm so cool. It's called the Dreamers Collective. And why should you find me? Because I really like to get to know people, first and foremost, because I think we all have something to learn from each other and share and help each other. Doesn't matter for how long we have the connection, but every connection counts. So that's why you would need to find me. That's all. But before I wrap up, I would like to say thank you once again, Liesel, for giving us this time and sharing this wonderful knowledge about retreats with all of us here today. So I'm really grateful. Thank you. And Michelle, please tell us where we can find you.
Oh, I'm going to make that really simple. You must join our online community on Facebook, Entrepreneurs Globally Unite. We've only been together for just over 18 months and we're clicking up 4,500 members of spiritual entrepreneurs. I know, how's that? All there to collect each other's information, knowledge, collaborate, grow, inspire, and just be the best versions of ourselves we can. So that is Entrepreneurs Globally Unite. You'll find me personally at $1,000,000mindset.com. I love working with people that are starting to wake up to a great big picture and what is there for them. So that's what I do. Ladies, what an absolute delight. Thank you to our viewers, all of the people that will come and watch the recording. Huge blessings, love and light to you all. Liesel, thank you. You're a delight, the retreat queen you are forevermore.
Love it.
Andie, as always, an absolute pleasure to be in your company. And that's all for us. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.